Good day to all. I am Mr. Naveen Chandra Mahanta, PGT Physics, working in Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan. Today I am going to discuss on the concept moving coil galvanometer. Its construction, how does it work, and how do we measure the sensitivity of a galvanometer, and how a galvanometer can be converted into an ammeter and a voltmeter. So let us start with the working of the galvanometer. Now, a galvanometer, as you know, that it is a device which is used to measure small current or detect small current in an electric circuit, and it is based on the principle that whenever a current carrying coil is placed in a uniform magnetic field, it experiences torque. Okay, now let us see how it is made up of, what are the different parts. Basically, a galvanometer consists of a rectangular coil. The rectangular coil is made up of very fine copper wire, and this copper wire is wound around a rectangular aluminium frame. So this is how the rectangular aluminium frame is there, and over which the copper wire, that is the coil, is wound around it. And inside this rectangular aluminium frame, so there is a soft cylindrical soft iron core, and this cylindrical core is so placed that the coil is free to rotate. Without touching this cylinder. So this is how the coil can rotate without touching the sphere. So here is the coil, the rectangular aluminum frame over which the copper wire is wound on it. Now this coil or its motion is controlled by a pair of hair spring, one on the top and one on the bottom. So this hair spring is made of, as you can look at on the figure. So what we are looking is the top view of the moving coil galvanometer. So here is the cylindrical soft iron core. So this is the spring, and this is the rectangular coil. So the hair spring, it is made up of phosphor bronze wire, which provides two functions. One is it provides the necessary restoring torque, that is whenever the coil is deflected, the spring is twisted so that it wants to restore to its position and provides the necessary restoring torque. And also this pair of hair spring, they act as current lead, that is the current enters and leaves the coil through the hair spring. Now the coil is placed symmetrically between the concave poles of a permanent magnet. The concave shaped poles combined with the cylindrical soft iron core, they produce the radial magnetic field. Radial magnetic field means the magnetic field in which the field lines are along the radial direction. So there is one of the advantages of the radial magnetic field, that when for any position of the coil, the plane of the coil makes an angle of 0 degree with the direction of magnetic field, or you can say that the normal to the plane of the coil makes an angle of 90 degree with the plane of the coil. So this together, the concave poles of the magnet and the cylindrical soft iron core, they produce the radial magnetic field here. Now let us see how does it work. So initially, when a current will be passed through the coil will become a current carrying coil, so that it undergoes a deflection due to the torque experienced by it, so that the deflecting torque we can calculate as, or we can write it as deflecting torque tau d is equal to Ni BA sin theta, where theta, as you know, it is the angle between the normal to the plane of the coil and the direction of magnetic field. Now since here the radial magnetic field is produced, so therefore theta is always equal to 90 degree. For radial field, theta is equal to 90 degree. Therefore this deflecting torque is given by NiB. Now as the coil is deflected, the spring is twisted so that it gives a restoring torque, and this restoring torque is always proportional to the angle of twist, that is the angle through which the coil is twisted. So we can write that this restoring torque tau r is proportional, let phi is the angle of deflection or angle of twist, so more is the angle of twist, so more will be the restoring torque. So therefore we can say that these two are proportional to each other, and this restoring torque is equal to K phi, where phi is a proportionality constant and this is called as the torsional constant of the spring. Torsional constant, which is given by tau r by phi, which you consider it is the restoring torque produced for unit twist or for unit deflection, you can define it K. Now the deflecting torque deflects the coil because of which the pointer moves, and the restoring torque tends to restore the coil to its original position. And when the pointer comes to rest, that is at the final deflected position, we can write at the final deflected position, the two must be equal, that is the deflecting torque must be equal to the restoring torque. So that implies NiBA is equal to K phi, or I is equal to K by MBA into phi. Now since all these quantities are constant, restoring torque for a given material, the number of turns, the magnetic field, the uniform magnetic field is created, and area of the coil, all are constant. We can write this as I is equal to G phi, where G is equal to K by NBA. We call this as galvanometer constant. So therefore I is proportional to phi. That means the deflection produced in the galvanometer is directly proportional to the current flowing through it. So there is a linear relationship between the current and the deflection. So because of this linear relationship, we can devise a linear scale between these two quantities, that is the deflection produced and the current. So therefore the device can be accurately calibrated. That is, whenever there is more deflection, so the current flowing through it is more, and vice versa. That is, less is the deflection, so less current is flowing through it. So this is how a galvanometer works. Now let me define what do we mean by sensitivity of a galvanometer. Now usually whenever a current flows through a galvanometer, it shows deflection. So if it shows more deflection for a small current flowing through it, then we can say that the galvanometer is more sensitive. So sensitivity is measured in terms of the deflection produced per unit current or unit potential difference applied through it. So there are two kinds of sensitivity in a galvanometer. One is the current sensitivity, SI. So if I is the deflection produced in a galvanometer when the current of I is flowing through it, then the current sensitivity can be defined as phi by I. That means how much deflection is produced in the galvanometer when a unit current is flowing through it, and it is measured in the unit. We can say that radian per ampere, or even we can call this as, sometimes we can measure the deflection in terms of division by ampere. Now just now we have derived the relation NIVA is equal to K phi. So from here we can see that the value of phi by I is equal to MVA by K. That means a galvanometer can be made more sensitive by increasing these quantities or by decreasing this. So increasing the number of turns in the coil, increasing the strength of the magnetic field. So that's why we are using a soft cylindrical iron core, which can increase the strength of the magnetic field by increasing the area of the coil or by decreasing K, personal constant. So that's why we are using a material called phosphor bronze, which has a very low value of torsional constant, so that the galvanometer will be more sensitive. Similarly, we can define another sensitivity in a galvanometer, which is called as a voltage sensitivity. So in voltage sensitivity, we measure that how much deflection is produced by applying a unit potential difference across the two terminals of the galvanometer. That means if V is the potential difference applied across the two terminals and phi is the deflection produced, then the voltage sensitivity will be equal to phi by V, or even we can write this as phi by IR, where R is the coil resistance, or even we can say that it is equal to the current sensitivity by R, and it is measured in the unit. We can say that radian by volt or division by volt. So this is how we define the voltage sensitivity, and here also we can write this voltage sensitivity as, because it is phi by IR, so from here we can write it as NV by KR. That means we can also increase the voltage sensitivity in the same way, but there is also another additional condition, that by decreasing the coil resistance also we can increase the voltage sensitivity. Now let us see how we can convert a galvanometer into an ammeter and a voltmeter. Conversion of galvanometer to ammeter. Now, as you know that galvanometer is used to measure small current in a circuit. So if the current flowing through a circuit is strong, so we cannot directly use a galvanometer in that circuit, because the galvanometer will be simply damaged. So to protect it from damage, we can increase the range of the galvanometer, that is the maximum current that it can measure. So whenever we increase the range of a galvanometer, the converted galvanometer is known as an ammeter. So ammeter is a device which is used to measure current in a circuit. Now let us see how a galvanometer can be converted into an ammeter, or how can we simply increase the range of the galvanometer. So suppose, let me take that there are n number of division in a galvanometer, and suppose K is the figure of merit. Figure of merit means the current that is required to produce one scale deflection in a galvanometer. We can also define this as current for one scale deflection. So that means the maximum current that can flow through a galvanometer will be equal to N into K. So if you supply more current to the galvanometer than this, then the galvanometer will be damaged. So if you want to increase the range of a galvanometer, we can use a shunt. A shunt is a wire of very small resistance that can be connected in parallel to a galvanometer. Now if this is the galvanometer, so the maximum current of Ig can flow through it. Now if we want to increase its range, suppose we want to increase the range of the galvanometer to be equal to I, that is I current should flow through the galvanometer, then we have to use a shunt, that is a low resistance wire in parallel to the galvanometer. Suppose this is the shunt, so that maximum current Ig flows through the galvanometer and the remaining current will be simply bypassed through the shunt. That is the remaining current I minus Ig will be flowing through the shunt. So how much shunt value we have to use in the circuit, that depends upon the range of the emitter. Suppose we want to make the range of the emitter to be 0 to I. Initially the range was 0 to I, it was measuring a maximum current of Ig. Now we want to increase the current to be equal to I, that is it should measure a maximum current of I. Then of course here as the potential difference between the points A and B will remain same, so here we can write this potential difference between the 2 points A and B will be equal to Ig into G, and that must be equal to I minus Ig into S. So this gives the value of shunt to be equal to Ig by I minus Ig whole into G. So if we use a shunt of this value, then the galvanometer will be converted into an emitter of range 0 to I. Initially, each division of the galvanometer was measuring a current of Ig by N, because N are the number of deflections or number of divisions and I is the maximum current it was measuring. But after the galvanometer is converted into an emitter, now it is measuring a current of I, so that the value of each division will be equal to I by N. That means each division has now more value than earlier. And one more advantage of using a shunt is that now you see that the equivalent resistance of the circuit becomes Gs by Gh, G plus S. This is the R equivalent. And as the shunt has very low value, so this is even smaller than this, so that the emitter has a very small value of resistance. And in fact, an emitter should have very small resistance. As you know, it is connected in series in a circuit, so the smaller the resistance of the emitter, the better it is, so that it will not affect the original current in the circuit. Now let us see how a galvanometer can be converted into a voltmeter. As you know, the voltmeter is a device which is used to measure the potential difference in a circuit. So a galvanometer can be converted to a voltmeter by using a high resistance in series in the circuit. For example, if this is the galvanometer having resistance G, then we have to use a high resistance R in the circuit, and suppose Ig is the maximum current that is flowing through the circuit, and the value of this high resistance that will be depend upon the range of the voltmeter that we want to change, because initially it is measuring a maximum potential difference of Ig into G. This is the maximum because Ig is the maximum current and G is the galvanometer resistance. So it is measuring a maximum potential difference of Ig into G. Suppose we want to make its range 0 to V volt. That means we want that the converted voltmeter should measure a maximum potential difference of V volt. Then the corresponding value of R will be, because if V is the potential difference between these 2 points, then the value of V should be equal to Ig into R plus G, so that V by Ig is equal to R plus G, and the corresponding value of R is equal to V by Ig minus G. So depending upon the range that we want to make for the voltmeter, so we have to choose accordingly a value of high resistance R by calculating from this formula, so that this galvanometer will work as a voltmeter and it will measure a maximum potential difference of V volt. And now you see that the equivalent resistance of this converted voltmeter is R plus G, and since R is very high, so R plus G becomes even higher, and ideally a voltmeter should have very high resistance because it is connected in parallel in a circuit. So whenever it is connected in a parallel in the circuit having very high resistance, so it doesn't allow the current to pass through the voltmeter, so that the original current in the circuit is not disturbed. So this is how we can convert a galvanometer into a voltmeter. So that's for all. For other concepts, I will be coming up with some more videos.